Today, I want to walk you through a very simple but incredibly powerful four-step process that you can do to help create new routines in your life. Now, before we jump into those four steps, let's take a quick minute and understand, why does this even matter? Why would you want to build these routines? Well, there are a lot of productivity experts out there today, always promising hacks and stuff to get more done in less time and to create more time and to create more space on your calendar. Time is finite. We can't create more time. But what we can do is save time by being more efficient. Meaning, if we can find ways to get what might take us 3 hours to do actually done in 2.5, we're going to save 30 minutes of time. And this is where routines are one of the number one things that you can implement to help you be more efficient. I want to make sure we're on the same page here of what my definition of a routine is. A routine is simply this: a series of tasks that are always done in the same order. That's it. Notice I didn't say they have to be at the same time or the same day of the week. Okay. This is where a lot of people get tripped up with implementing routines. They're like, well, if I create a routine, it means it has to be done at the exact same time or day, always, or else it's not successful. Let go of that, and it's going to open up so much more possibility for you. Step number one: over the course of the next week of your life, I want you to grab, either your notes app, a sticky note, something like that, and start writing down what are all of the tasks or to-dos that you are currently doing on a weekly rhythm, or maybe you're currently doing it a couple times a week, but you'd like to just be doing it once a week. For example, maybe you're like, God, I feel like I run errands like 4 times a week. I'd love to just do that once a week. Now, with work, maybe you're thinking, man, I feel like I have to do these different reports, and it would be just so much easier for me if I just could sit down and do all the reports at once. So again, you're looking for opportunities of things you would like to just do once a week, or you're currently doing once a week, and just get those into a list. That's step one. Step two is incredibly important, because if you don't do step two, it's going to make step four very challenging for you. Next to each of those things on your list, you now need to go back in and actually jot down, how long do they take? The easiest way for you to do this is, as you're making your list, right? That's why I said, hey, create this over the course of a week. Take a look at your watch and see how long the task actually takes. Now, you don't have to get it down to the exact second, right? If something takes 13 minutes, maybe you'll just write down, oh, this takes me about 15 minutes. Okay, but we need to be realistic with how long each of the things take on your list. Now let's move on to step three. And this is where we start figuring things out. I want you to look at your list and start having a conversation with yourself to understand, hey, what on here might make sense for me to do in a consecutive order? Because if I did that, I would be far more efficient. Let's give some examples here. When I was talking about the personal one, one being, gosh, I feel like I run a lot of errands. If I know I go to the grocery store every week, I go to the drugstore every week, maybe you go to the dry cleaner, maybe you go to Target, something like that, you might realize, you know what, it would be a lot more efficient for me to pick one day a week and go do all four of those errands instead of doing each one on a different day. You would save time if you could kind of get your driving map and figure out what's the most efficient way to do this. You're kind of in the zone, you knock them all out. Now, let's think about a work example. All right, I'll give you some here for what I do as the CEO of the Pink Bee. So I do a lot of recording work every week. Obviously, you're watching a video right here, right? So I do recordings for YouTube. I do a recording for my podcast. I do a little training that goes out inside of my app. I have an app in the App Store called the Pink Bee. I drop a new little training every single Wednesday morning in there. So for me, I know I will be able to get that done more efficiently if I can pick one chunk of time during the week to sit down and do all of my recording, because there's setup work. I need to get the lights. I need to get the right software set up. I make some adjustments to my mic. Sometimes, depending upon what I'm recording, it might require being dressed in a specific way. Obviously, today was not one of those days, but I know that it is far more efficient for me, instead of recording something every single day, instead to maybe wait until Wednesday or Thursday in the week where I could do 4 tasks all in a row. So, again, back to step 3, this is your opportunity to look at the list of everything that you are doing on a weekly cadence and see, where does it make sense for me to group some stuff together and test out trying a routine. Now, not everything on your weekly cadence is going to fit into a routine, just as everything on your daily cadence is not going to fit into one. So you're not doing something wrong if everything can't be put into a routine. All right, that's not necessarily the end goal. We're looking for some low hanging fruit here. Now, let's move on to the fourth and final step in this process. You've got the list, you know how long everything takes. Now you've created that grouping. So now you've identified, here's a new routine I'm going to start implementing each week. Well, this is where, even if you have thought about doing step 1, 2, and 3, step 4 is where most people fall off. And this is the most important part. I want you to go through all the tasks in that routine that you've just built up and add up how much time it takes. Remember when I said you were going to need that step 2 when we get to step 4? So maybe, like for me with my recording, I know I need to set aside about 90 minutes to do my core recording every single week. So now the fourth step is to actually go to my calendar for the upcoming week and create an appointment with myself at a set date and time to get it done. Now, notice I didn't say I'm going to set up a recurring appointment, right? At the beginning, I told you a routine does not always have to be done the same day and the same time. My life certainly doesn't support that. On any given week, I may be doing all my recording on a Monday morning. Some weeks, maybe I'm doing it on a Wednesday, late morning to early afternoon. It just depends on what are the realities of my week that week and when can I plug in that 90-minute block to get my recording done. And then you're going to continue to make that appointment for yourself week after week after week, so that now you're starting to build this into your plan. Quick recap here on the 4 steps. First, create that list of recurring tasks. Second, jot down how long each of those takes. Number 3, create a grouping, test one out. Say, I think I'm going to try this. Then step 4, create the appointment and do it. Once you've executed all this, you always have the right to change it. You may decide after doing it that you didn't like that routine and you want to change it up for the following week. Absolutely do that. And also, please note, I talked about one grouping. I would encourage you to only introduce one new routine at a time until you feel like it feels good. And now this is part of your regular rhythm. Then you can go back and review your list and see, is there another routine that I think is a good one for me to bring in now? I am always looking at my recurring lists to see, is there any other way that I can get some more efficiencies, leveraging routines, right? So that ultimately I can have more time in my life to do the things that I love. I can't wait to hear what routines you build. And don't forget, if you want to come back and catch an upcoming live training, make sure you have subscribed here on the channel, and I'll see you again soon.